G'day everyone, it's Jimmy here from My Online Guy with another episode of the Mentoring Mondays, which is basically a segment where people just ping me if they've got any questions and ideas, and I'm like, if it can provide value to the audience, I challenge people, put them out of their comfort zone, try and get them on a call with me so that we can help as many people as possible. So today I've got Mike on with me. Mike has reached out and asked, has a few questions. So Mike, why don't you introduce yourself, give us a little context, and let's have a chat.
Yeah, so hey guys, name's Mike. Basically reached out to Jimmy because, well, I saw that he had an extensive experience in the agency space. And for some context, I've just started really starting to get my agency up and running. Although it's not really an agency, it's more of a, I guess you would say, the glorified freelancer stage. So for those that are just starting out, which are probably going to be the mass majority of people here, it's going to be a huge information bomb, kind of help you get your foot in the door and just start taking action now. So I'm going to have a lot of questions related to getting started.
Excellent. All right, let's get into it. So thank you for the context.
Yeah,
so how can I help, man?
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of kick things off with just kind of general outreach questions. Now, what I was thinking, currently what I'm doing for outreach is I'm just doing some emails, and then I'm doing cold call follow-ups. And in particular, I got stuck on this one problem, which is finding the niche. And there's a lot of different mixed perspectives on finding the niches. Some people say that you need to have passion for your niche. Some people say that whatever niche you have, if you can get the best results, stick with them. So what I did was my first few clients, I started with web design, and then I decided to do marketing service because I wanted to build some kind of reoccurring revenue and give more value to the client, because we all know that if you build a website, visitors aren't going to magically appear. And it honestly took me a little late to kind of figure that out. I'm like, oh, wait a second, I need to start learning marketing and kind of fit the whole pieces together. So from that perspective, I decided to do the contracting niche. And we know the contracting niche is filled with tons and tons of different sub-niches, and then there's sub-niches of those niches. And then I kind of got stuck in the whole pick your niche and then niching really down and then finding those specific niches that actually need your help. And so I ended up landing with home improvement, and specifically painting companies. And so my first client, I built him a website, and then now I'm starting to build his Google ad campaigns. And then that's where it hit me. I don't really know how to build Google Ads campaigns, but that'll be it for later for fulfillment. But so yeah, he needed help with leads, and so I was like, okay, so probably other guys need help with leads too. But I find that a lot of these companies, they actually just need more employees, or it's a different thing. They need admin tasks. They say they're busy, so they don't want to take in more work. And I find that looking at it in this lens, a lot of agencies offer more customers, because we know more customers means more revenue. But I really want to branch out my services and kind of offer the whole package. So in my outreach, I'm just wondering, would you do in your outreach a single service and hyper focus that and get attention of the market and see what it says? Or would you sort of kind of have a compass of services where it could be more effective to helping more people and basically get more positive feedback for the outreach? I know it's kind of a very long-winded question, very specific, but yeah.
I have some thoughts on it. So, so essentially, targeting painters, in the home improvement space, and you're finding probably what we're all finding that are in the trades and services space right now is that there's more work. There is more work available to everyone than they know what to do with. That's only a recent phenomenon too. So like, I was working with a lot of trades. We call them tradies here in Australia. Tradies, trade services, pre-COVID, and they were all struggling for work. It's because of COVID that this has happened. Everyone's been at home. They're looking at their house and doing it. So a lot of these, what it's exposed is there's a lot of businesses out there that don't have the processes developed to handle the workload. And pretty much all of these businesses think that the answer to their prayers, like they want to make more money. Ultimately, as a business owner, they want to make more money, right? So they think that the answer to the solution to making more money is getting more clients, not realizing that they would make more by improving their processes, maybe converting people at a higher rate, upsells, things like that. So they're not doing as much work, they're just getting a better lifetime value from their client. Notwithstanding that, so the actual question you asked is, would you focus on a sole service at the start, or would you go and offer a suite of services that better fulfills what you're hearing on the ground, like the needs. Okay, so
like the needs of the niche.
Yeah. So you've always, doesn't matter what service you offer, it needs to be a painkiller. So if the niche you're in, if getting inquiries and getting business is not a pain for them, a big enough pain right now, then you're not selling a painkiller. You're selling a service. You're selling a feature. So like if these guys are flat out getting leads and they hire you and like, yeah, get more leads, and it's not really a painkiller, then you won't be able to retain them for a long period of time. You'll have them for a month or two until they get overwhelmed and like, oh, sorry, stop it all because I have nothing to handle. And I've had this conversation in the group before because I've adjusted the way we do the agency because of that. At the start, I think it's pretty important to stick to one lane and get really good at it. But that lane doesn't necessarily need to be lead generation. I think there's a real requirement and the demand for helping businesses develop processes and automations. Go high level. It's why Go High Level's blown up, and there's a lot of people trying to resell Go High Level, because if you can help a business implement that, you're actually fulfilling a genuine pain point within the business and being a painkiller for them. And it also allows for the development of services once you clear that backlog of like them being overworked and things. So to answer your question simply, you do at the very start, you need to offer one service. So when I started, it was just SEO because it's what I knew. It's what I knew better than probably most, and I was like, I can offer that as a service, and I can focus all my energy and attention, because when you're starting, you don't have the resources to develop multiple services. When you start having multiple services, the operational costs of running an agency go up exponentially. So we offer SEO, websites, Google ads, Facebook ads, social media, videography. Our overheads are $70,000 a month because each one of those skills requires manpower to execute on.
Right. Okay.
So there's a whole set of different manpowers. So if you don't have the resources to wear the cost of developing and these systems out that are required so you can sell it, you're better off sticking to one lane, focusing on it, learning it really well, getting a foundational understanding of it, and then branching out once you've got that pinned down and you have a really good understanding and the workflow works really well and there's demand from the consumer, then move into another service offering. That's how we did it. So we do SEO. Pretty much everyone's website sucked, and I have to rebuild it anyway. So we got pretty good at building websites, and I'm like, well, let's offer that as a service now because we do that better than a lot of people. And there's a genuine requirement for it because when we do SEO, we have to rebuild it anyway. So, like I said, it doesn't necessarily need to be lead generation. Lead generation could be the foot in the door, and then you pivot. So, like, one thing you could do if you're finding that you're getting people answering the calls that you do and emails that you do about generating leads is when you're having a conversation with them, you go, oh, look, I know you mentioned that you're looking for leads, but actually, it sounds like the actual genuine pain for you guys is getting time in the day. You got all this work coming out of your ears. What if I told you I had a solution that would make your life 10 times easier to run the business? Way more compelling pain point, and it has longevity because they'll want that for the rest of the life of their business, whether it's busy or not.
So I just want to kind of make a brief interruption. Knowing that, and then just knowing that these contracting companies, obviously leads aren't the main problem, how would you go about framing that into an outreach, let's say in email? Because I know with the email, kind of how they teach it, you have to make it very polarizing and make it tangible, but obviously you can't really put a number to the results the website may bring. But I mean, you can kind of, in extent, describe sort of the lifestyle change it can bring. So that's probably what got me stuck there.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll read your mind because I don't sell leads. I don't have a guarantee. What I do is kind of counterintuitive because I've got results, which makes it a lot easier. So I can go to a client and go, well, look, here's someone you can speak to, right? But like, I think contextually, this will make a lot more sense on how you would approach. I'm just bringing up the file now, so if you just bear with me. Contextually, how you would approach a business with like this, you know, in the Imperial Group, they talk about Trojan horse offers. I see sales leads as a Trojan horse offer into something else. So what I offer as a service is foundations first marketing for businesses. So I've pivoted what we do based on what the economy is doing, because there's people that don't necessarily need leads. But anyway, I'll bring up what my approach. This is just one of my niches.
Yeah, just for context, you work a lot with local trade industries as well, don't you?
Yes.
Your agency does.
Yep. Yeah, we pretty much only work with local trades. Now, I don't know if this will work, but I'm just going to try and share my screen for a sec.
I will say the niche that I originally was in, painting companies, I kind of just took wherever work I can get. So I got a painting company, a tree removal, and then a hair salon coming up. So this is kind of all over the place. But I realized that, for hair salon, they were looking for talented employees.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why the hair salon niche wouldn't be the best niche to tackle. The dollar, like the margin that they make on the service is really important when it comes to picking a niche. So you've got to think about it from a business perspective. A hairdresser may charge a couple of $100 for a real premium haircut. Most haircuts are $50 for a hairdresser. They're just a trim, whatever, bit of a wash. Or $50, they're paying overheads. Let's say 50% of their margin goes to overheads. They may make a net profit on a $50 haircut of like 30%. And you think they're going to give you, so the maximum someone will give you is like 10% of their margin for a service. That's like a 10% commission, right? So 10% of net, there's like $12, $10 there per lead that you get them. So there's actually $10 per lead. A, it's not worth your time to do it. But B, there's probably more cost-effective ways to do it. That's why they always do newspaper and radio and stuff, because they're just trying to get bulk eyeballs and trying to get really, really cheap eyeballs.
Oh, okay.
So that's why painting's a good, better niche, because generally a project's a couple of $1,000s. If it's a couple of $1,000s, if you took 10% of that gross revenue that you charged, there's $200. So like there is more fat in what they do, so they can afford to pay someone to help them acquire a lead. Generally, the bigger the project size and the bigger the margins are, the more viable it is as a niche long term, because you can make a niche like hairdressing work, but the economies of scale required to do that, to justify, like if you're getting like say $5 a lead, you'll need thousands of hairdressers to justify the cost that would go into to build the processes to do that at scale. Whereas if you're getting $200 a lead, you don't need as big economies of scale to get to 10, 15, 20, 50 grand a month. Whereas if you're getting $5 a lead, how many hairdressers would you have to work with to get to 100 grand a month? It's just like you're talking tens of thousands of hairdressers. And to manage tens of thousands of leads, you need hundreds of people. So like it's like people forget about that economies of scale. And it's why there's so many. When I see people targeting these small niches, I just go like, there's a flaw to the niche, and that's why everyone targets the same stuff. Lawyers, real estate agents, dentists, they all target the same stuff. But what people don't understand, and generally I think it's from a lack of life experience perspective, is that there's a lot of trade-based service people that are millionaires. And the reason they're millionaires is because when someone's laying a concrete pad for a house, they're charging $10,000 to do it. So they're charging just as much as a doctor or a lawyer. It's just, if you've got no life experience because you've lived in the digital space, generally you don't see that. And that's why the trade space is just so good. And I would encourage people to look at that space for that reason.
And that's hopefully maybe we can touch base a little later on that, kind of on your expertise and kind of dealing with all these guys before. I'm sure you've kind of amassed quite a knowledge on how to handle on the lingo, really, to help kind of speak one-to-one, because I find a struggle when I'm trying to talk to them. They don't really understand me. We just don't really see eye to eye. And that affects my email copy, my cold calling, because I just lack the experience in the industry. And that's something I'm still trying to make up for. But I wanted to get back to that. The email. They want to interrupt.
Sure. Okay, so no doubt someone's going to copy this. Have at it. I'll just change it. It's not the beauty about having a fundamental understanding is that I can just adjust. But so
yeah.
So can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is for those who are watching. This is like my email script that I use as a first email to landscapers, right? So one of the niches we target. Jimmy here, crazy over it. So like I keep the wording real colloquialized, try and keep it casual because the people I'm speaking to are generally not tertiary educated. So the lingo is different, like you said, the way they talk is different.
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah.
So what's always been my strategy when it comes to sales is a charm offensive. It's something I do really well. And disarming people so that I get people as allies. That's like my strategy. I don't hard sell people. I don't try and bash their door downs. And you'll see that in the first line here. So let's start on the right foot and lay it on the table. My name's Jimmy, and I'm just like you. I'm a business owner based in Australia. As a business owner with a wife, kids, and commitments, to be honest, I'm worried about what's ahead in the economy in 2023. Not to sound like an alarmist, but 2023 is going to be a rough ride for business owners, especially landscapers, and especially ones who aren't prepared. Now, I've spent years preparing my business, but you're probably a lot like my clients. Life's pretty good at the moment, work's coming in, probably too much, but we all know that the landscaping industry is pretty cyclical in nature, and what happens when that work dries up, and what if it's not like every other cycle, but much, much worse. So my question is for you, so I always have some kind of call to action to try and get people to engage with me, positive and negative. So my question to you, Jimmy, is do you honestly have a consistent and repeatable flow of decent leads that you can count on if the economy does slow down significantly? If you do, firstly, congratulations, you're a very small percentage of the landscapers out. Give yourself a pat on the back, close this email and move on. If not, it's definitely worth taking action, mitigating huge risks and taking 2 minutes out of your day. So in my video, I essentially just talk about the fact that, it's one thing to get leads. It's one thing to have a big flow of leads, but it's another thing to be efficient with them. So there's no mention of a call to action. And for context, that email specifically gets a 20 to 30% loom view rate. So for every person that reads that email, a third watch the video. And then my appointment booking rate's around 15 to 18%. So
wow.
without a guarantee, because the guarantee is that I understand what they're saying, I think it's easy for me to do that because once I get on a call for them, I can give them a reassurance of trust. You only have to offer, this is the thing with guarantees, is you only have to offer a guarantee if you can't pass on trust very well. If you can pass on conviction and trust really well, then your guarantee is your word. So like, when I'm talking to you, talking to people, talking on these kinds of things, my conviction is what gets you to go, oh, Jimmy knows what he's talking about and I trust him. Because I'm trustworthy. That's the definition of it. So when I'm talking to business owners and going like, look, you need to do this because it's really important for your business and your livelihood, and I understand your problem. I've actually genuinely understand what the problem is, and this is a genuine solution, and I know it will work. Businesses are like, yeah, I trust you. Let's do it. And
right.
That may be different in the US. I can only speak to the Australian market, but I would argue that Australians are way more skeptical and cynical. So that's why my strategy for sales is really about disarming people so that I can build trust with them. So like the first sentence in that email is about family because the people I target generally have wife, kids, children. Now, obviously you can't use that as a strategy, but
not yet, yeah.
But you can go something like, look, I really just want to help people I have worked with businesses and I've seen how much this stuff can change their life, so they can spend more time with their kids, so they can spend more time with their family. Because when you've got millions of dollars, some of these guys are worth millions of dollars. Like if you've got that kind of money, money's not important. It's like me, right? Like, yeah, it's nice to have fancy stuff and this and that, but like, I'm at the point in my life now where, yeah, money's nice to have and I don't have to worry about it, but actually now it's about spending time with my kids and stuff because I've got enough to not have to worry about money. So it's like, is adding an extra zero to the end of it going to make a big difference in my life? No, but is spending an extra 10 hours a week with my children going to make a big difference in my life? Yeah, 100%. And then it goes, what's that worth to me? It's worth way more than me than adding an extra zero to my business. You got to think. I think there's this big disconnect when people that are new to the SMMA space come into it, they think all that businesses care about is money. It's not. Like, because generally people that have businesses have decent money. It's more just like the other intangibles that you've got to extract. And if you can actually drill down to that and get an emotional response, like I'm getting an emotional response thinking about it, that means that it's worth something to them. Like if you're talking to someone and you mention money and they don't even blink, they have no emotional attachment to money. It's hard to sell something to someone that they don't have an emotional attachment to. Whereas if I go, oh look, I've got this Nintendo 64. You would have played it as a kid. I'm selling it for $1,000. Remember all the memories you had with it. Then some idiot like me will spend $1,000 on it because I have an emotional attachment to that feeling. So you can use the satisfaction of that emotional attachment as your guarantee almost. You can go, the other business I work with, all I can say is that they are very thankful for what I've done for them because it allows them to spend more time with their kids. It allows them to have more time to think strategically about their business. And one of the positive side effects is you get a bit more business out of it too. But the main goal is to give you more time in your business so you're not spending 15 hours a day working and not being able to produce the income. That's as good as any guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, you made really, really good points, especially with landscapers pointing out that the cyclical nature is, in the winter months, it's kind of low. And with any contract business, it's kind of low there. And then summer and spring, it's when it starts picking up. And then creating kind of early kind of pain points with, spending time with your family because, you have an abundance of money and resources. But it's arguable that spending time with your families as you get older is going to be the most valuable resource you have. The amount of hours 100%. You're spending with them.
And because my specific customer, I have a very specific archetype of customer I want to work with, which is basically people like me. Because I found that works the best. It's like, if they're not family orientated, then the email doesn't interest them in any way, and they just move on with it.
I see. Okay.
It's fine. I only want to work with a specific type of person. Because that helps a lot when it comes to service delivery, fulfillment, and giving you a bit of leeway to a bit of rope to hang yourself with, sort of thing.
And if you might interject, it could probably also help to an extent in the relationship between the clients, right?
Yep.
Because if you guys are both family oriented, you're both working to secure the futures of your family and free up more time for both them, and then you guys do a great job. So there's just no excessive amount of work done on either end. It's just straight to the point, effective, and it gets both sides happy because you have common goals.
I see a lot of this in the space too. Is like people need to understand the difference between a transactional relationship and an actual relationship. So the best way this was explained to me is like if you were starting a new job, right? And let's say it's a biggish company and you start a new job and you're in the mailroom or something and the CEO of the company walks in and goes, "Oh, you're the new guy. I'm the CEO. Nice to meet you. Is there anything you need?" You can ask, there's one or two ways you can build a relationship. So you can build a transactional relationship and you can build a genuine relationship that builds rapport. So in that circumstance, right, if I was to use the SMMA space, 95% of SMMA people would go, do you know where the staplers are kept? Or do you know where this is? Or do you know where that is? Transactional type questions. Do you know how many leads a month do you want? Things like that. And the CEO will go, yep, staplers, you have to ask her, but the staplers are over there, move on with life. But if you imagine that same context and you went and you're in the mailroom and the CEO came and you said, "Oh, look, I know this may sound like an old question, but what are the 3 things that you would like me to do, and what are the 3 things I should never do?" And then they start using a different part of their brain, and then you'll have a conversation, actual genuine conversation, and you build rapport at a deeper level. So when I'm having these conversations with people, a lot of my stuff is not transactional. I'm not asking like how many leads a month they need and things like that. It's like, so what did you start the business? Like trying to determine what the value proposition is for them on doing this. So you're getting these leads, how's that working? Just trying to actually have conversations, because if you have conversations, you build rapport. If you build rapport builds trust. If you build trust, then you can sell them anything. So I've got clients that I can go to the pub with, to the bar with, have a beer with, and sit at the bar and go, "Look, you need to do this next." And they're like, "Yep, I trust you if that's what we need to do." Because a lot of these guys, especially I can only speak to the trade space. It's really the main space I work in. But a lot of these people, they're good at what they do, and that's it. They are good painters, and that's it. They just want to find someone that has their best interests at heart, that can do this stuff to the same level that they paint, and that can become trusted advisors and go, oh, I'm looking up. Oh, I've seen this. I think if we did this, we'd get better results. Well, I trust you, Jimmy. Just to go and do it. Just send me a bill. That's the relationship.
Okay, so it's kind of like you have a consulting friend, and you're really good at the trade side, and you got a guy who's kind of got the business smarts. It's like just consulting kind of your business friend. It's like, hey, what do you reckon I should do here? And actually, what's kind of funny is that I landed my first client with a very, very informal email. We were both named Michael, and I was like, hey, Mike, we're both named Michael. Let's connect. It's destiny or something like that. And then we just started working together. It sounds really silly, but I think something to make a point here is the very personal quality approach for outreach, and then the automation kind of robot, same template. Because I tried doing automation before, and this week actually, and I got tons and tons of responses saying, oh, take me over email list, or oh, what's this automated follow-up? And I'm like, this is just not getting the same results. I mean, obviously because it's quality versus quantity approach, but I feel like the direction that I want to take, and that I think a lot of agencies are going to benefit making this decision when they start, is really building the relationships, like you said, like a business partner, like a consulting friend, and then going in with the quality approach and writing a copy that's actually going to speak to them, their problems, understands the nature of their business, the industry, the personal problems. And I think that just comes with a lot of time and obviously experience dealing with it, but just knowing how to actually take time to write it, but not too much time, of course, because, you got to do it. So I'm trying to find that balance between getting the personalized approach and then understanding the trade and the industry, which I'm still trying to work on at the moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is another thing I see a lot of. I've always treated automation, because we have lots of automation, like it's a part of it's ingrained into my philosophy in doing business. But I've always treated it as a force multiplier, not a replacement for me. So like in StarCraft, right? You've got the I can't remember the names here, SCVs that mine
SCVs,
crystals. Mine the crystals. You know the ones that the yellow ones, the big yellow ones that mine heaps of crystal. They're just augmented versions of the original thing with more firepower. That's all automation should ever be. Is like, you need, like ChatGPT, for instance. It's everywhere and it's really good, but people misuse it because they don't have a good understanding of copywriting, and then they try and just go, well, the robot can do it, or the AI can do it, but actually it doesn't. If you bolted, like with me, right? If you were to bolt an extra 2 sets of arms on me, I would be more effective than a robot. And so, like, I treat all these automations and ways of speeding up the process as cyborg attachments to myself, and going, well, okay, well, actually, my copy is good already. If I was to automate that, it would be like having a second or third person like me in the business, not going, I'm just going to let the AI do all this because I don't want to have me in there at all. That may not necessarily make sense, but I think what it is like.
Oh no, I get it.
Yeah. All of these tools are there to augment and amplify what already works or doesn't work. So if you have something that doesn't work and you slap a whole bunch of automation on top of it, you just amplify the fact that it doesn't work. If you have something that works and then you use all the automation and AI on top of that, you'll just amplify the effects of it. So that's, so like my copy, the first like couple of hundred I sent manually, and I recorded them manually to get used to talking about this new approach. And then once I was comfortable with being able to record the looms myself, comfortable with how the email sending actually worked, then that's when I started doing the loom process. And because of that, I was able to build a fully automated system because I had a good understanding and create the amplification that worked specifically for me and the way I work. So bolting those arms, bolting those augmentations on, as opposed to going,
right, this
is a system. I don't necessarily understand what's in the black box, but I needed to work in this niche and smash a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense for the outreach, and that's just something I'm still working on. Obviously, the experience level as well. I'm probably about a couple months in.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that quickly. So I think you have a huge advantage that I don't have, and when it comes to service-based businesses, you have youth. People, as they get older, they want to help younger people. It's why I do all these videos. Honestly, it's like I make no money from this stuff, right? But the reason I do it is because I enjoy helping people, and I find that if people actually go through all the effort to get on a call with me, then generally I'm going to enjoy it. So you got all these older guys that are running good businesses. So I go to them. It's a very even playing field. You know, I've got life experience. They've got life experience. I've got money. So it's like it's a different relationship because it's like from a different point of view. If I was your age and I didn't have the life experience, I would be going in like this, going, look, I really want to learn about this niche too. You know, I want to learn from you. I want to learn how it works because the more I understand of how the niche works and how we can work together, the better outcomes we can get. So I would be asking, I would send a little bit of the sales call. I would go off script and go, oh, look, so how do you actually, I've always wondered this, we work with a lot of painters, but no one's been willing to tell me this. Like, how do you actually work out how much paint you need, or how do you work out exactly what colors? I work with businesses that do this, but they're all, if you could just spend a couple of minutes, I'd love to know that, build that rapport, be that like a person that they're taking under their wing as well as do that. And I can't do that because if they'll be like, why don't you kind of know that already? Whereas if you're younger, they understand that people love talking about themselves and love sharing what they do. So I think that's the approach I would take. Like if I was younger, I would be like formal email, whatever. When I got on the call, I'd be talking about my clients, but then I'll go, look, this is an odd question, I know, but I work with a lot of painters, but I've never actually asked this question of anyone. But you've been doing it a long time. Like, how do you XYZ, whatever question, get them talking about it? Oh, that's super interesting. Like if we work together, I'd love to learn a little bit more about actually painting. It's like, it's one thing to know how to get leads and how to do the processes really well, but I think to be a better at what I do, I really would love to learn more about how the painting side works. Entertain it,
right.
If they send you things, say, oh, that's awesome, thanks for that. Build that sort of rapport, because if you do that, then that guy will refer you to everyone. Like your referral will just grow significantly because you're willing to learn. Yeah. That's what everyone wants. So I wouldn't use the fact that, I wouldn't hide the fact that I'm young. I would just play my cards differently so that it was an advantage as opposed to a disadvantage.
So
you can run into the trap. I'll just end on this. You can run into the trap of trying to be someone that you're not, where it's like, so you can't fake life experience. It's a hard thing to fake. If you either have it or you don't. And I see a lot of people in the SMMA space that are younger try and fake life experience, and someone that has life experience will see straight through that. And then it just creates this aura of distrust. Whereas if you just bare your neck and go, look, I know a lot about the digital space, I've grown up in it, I get good results, but I'm still learning about painting, how does this work? You immediately bare your neck, you do it in a way that's tactful, and you then create this like, bare your neck, but also are plucking $50 notes out of the sort of situation where it's like, I'm baring my neck to entertain you, but actually I have an ulterior motive, which is this, to build the relationship with you so we can work together.
Right.
Ethically it may sit differently with people, but you've got to play to your, if your competitors are doing stuff and you're not, you're losing out to them. So like if you've got competitors that are doing that and they're getting results because of it, you've got to do something, otherwise you just get left behind.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of beginners and making, the guarantee, the reason the method that you said it works so well for us is because for those going into space, originally I started just because, we all wanted to make money at some point for a lot of beginners. But as I started helping my client, I started getting projects, it just made me feel good. And I'm like, I want to do this for other people. But I guess I didn't convey that in my outreach enough because they're like, oh, it's just another marketing email. Oh, get me out of here. Not interested. And I think that approach of kind of using your youth to an advantage and genuinely just reach out and say, hey, I don't have much clients or testimonials, but I would love the opportunity to learn more about your business. I really want to get you results, and then maybe you can have some kind of risk reversal is what I'm hearing. And then kind of factor in I understand your industry and all the pain points you have, but I would love to just kind of maybe frame it as a student willing to learn, and that's really it. It's not just...
Yeah, you got to balance the dynamic, because you still got to maintain the alpha position in the phone call, but this is the best way I've found to do it, is two things. Firstly, you go... sorry, I just lost my train. You go, I may not have as much experience as others, but I do know what I'm doing, and I've done it for myself and a couple of others, or whatever. You know, context-wise, you've got to play it to you. But you go, what I will do that others won't is I'll work harder for you than anyone you've ever met, because I want this to succeed. I want you to tell other people about me, because the only way my business will grow is if I get you results. So like it was like last week's call. Like, you can say anything with conviction. I could have just said anything then and it feel right. But what you're trying to establish, because that's what I did when I didn't have clients. The first client I got, I said, look, I don't have as many clients as I deserve. That's what I said. I was like, for the amount I know about marketing, I should have more clients. But I will work harder than anyone you've ever met to make this work. So if you want someone that's going to work hard and treat this as if it's their own, then I'm the right person. If you want someone that, because then they put this scene down, it's like, well, actually, that makes sense, because if I hire someone that has lots of clients, then they may not be working very hard on what I do.
Right, and that kind of leverages your inexperience with a lot of clients to your advantage.
Yeah, you play your strong cards, right? Like, if you don't have clients, you can't just wallow and go, I don't have any. You got to go, what are my strengths? Well, I've got time. If I've got time, well, I'll put the effort in. See, like with me, I've got 50, 60 clients. I can't put the time into a campaign like you can. So you can use that as competitive advantage. You go, look, I don't know what other people do, but the beauty about the first couple of clients I get is they're going to get an experience that no one else ever gets, because I've got the time right now. Once I start getting a few clients, it's going to be harder to do that. The other thing I would do from a risk reversal perspective is again, everyone has different opinions on this, but I kind of find guarantees to be a little bit off-putting, because if you have to guarantee something, I don't know what it is about them, but like if someone tries to offer me a guarantee, I'm like, wait a minute, why are you offering me that? What I found worked for me when I didn't know what to guarantee, that's because I see that a lot, is like people are just guaranteeing whatever, and I look and go, there's no way you're actually going to deliver on that. It's like physically impossible when you do the math. So like when you don't know what to guarantee, this is a way you can mitigate, you can risk reverse without offering a guarantee, in my opinion. Is go, look, I understand that working with someone that doesn't have runs on the board is risky for you as a business. I understand that. So this is what I'm willing to do. I'm only going to do this for the first couple of clients. Once I get the runs on the board, I'm going back to full price. But I want to help mitigate your risk by charging you a reduced rate. So, and you don't even have to reduce, you can just start high and reduce it back to what you're going to do. But like, frame it around like, I acknowledge that you have the risk. That's the objection, is going to be the fact that the risk, and that's why everyone says price, is because they're trying to justify the cost in their head and reduce risk by bringing the price down. Whereas if you frame it around, this isn't a discount, this is just a way of mitigating your risk by charging you less than what someone with the experience would charge, even though I have the ability to do it. And framing it's like, this is only something that what the first client is going to get, or the first like couple of clients are going to get. Once I get a few wins on the board and you're raving and telling everyone how good we did, I'm going back to charging full price. But I understand you are taking risk on, and this is how I'm going to mitigate that risk for you. As opposed to going, I'm going to mitigate that risk by guaranteeing 50 leads this month.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Kind of, you leverage it with incentive-based pricing. Say, hey, I understand that you're kind of skeptical on the pricing, but I believe, I've done for others as much as I can do for you. I see that what you have over there, I can genuinely help you guys. And because I'm so confident, we would do for just half off, because for the first few clients, I'm going to be working as hard as I can to get you those results, because my business depends on the success of your business. Would
You've got to
that be
still
kind
do
of
it in a way of keeping the alpha position. So like if you were to
Mm-hmm.
say that, it would put some seed of doubt in someone's head. It really needs to be framed a very specific way in the fact that like, this is what the price is. It is very fair value for what you're going to get. But I also acknowledge that you have risk because you're taking a punt. Like, it's a punt, but I think it's a pretty qualified. I think you're going to do pretty well out of it, but it's a punt. I understand that. So what I'm willing to do for the first couple of clients is reduce my rate to mitigate that risk. Once I get you outstanding results and you're telling everyone about it, that price is going to go back to where it was because it's fair value. How does that sound? It's a subtle difference, but it's about maintaining the authority because like I mentioned this last week, every conversation you have, there's someone that's an alpha in the conversation, someone that's the beta, or, like the second. There's first and second.
Yeah.
To maintain that first position, you can't be neck too much, and you can't. You've got to maintain authority while articulating the experience, which is not easy to do, but it's a very specific way to word it, but it would work really well. So, just about like, it's fair, because I get asked for discounts all the time, right? And the first thing I say is, look, this is the price, and it's very fair for what I do. That's how, when I get a price suggestion, that's my first thing I say.
Yeah, just maintain. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like people don't realize I'm stingy as. I'm stingy as they come. Like I bought this Nintendo Switch bag, and I asked the guy for $3 off because it was like I enjoy getting a good price on things. So a lot of people like that. A lot of people will just ask for a discount for the sake of getting a discount. So if you frame this around, this isn't a discount, so they're not technically winning. You're mitigating their risk. So they're getting a reduced rate, not a discount. They're getting a reduced rate because we acknowledge that there is a risk involved with working with someone with lack of experience. So you eliminate that possible objection. So if there's any objections at that point, it's nothing to do with money because you've acknowledged the one rejection. Like, that is the biggest objection you come up with is like, okay, well, Jimmy and Mike are coming up against each other in a proposal. Jimmy's got all this experience, Mike doesn't. So how do you mitigate that? You have to mitigate that risk somehow to the business because the reason they'll pay a premium for me is because there's less risk because I have a track record.
Right. And that's what testimonials and referrals, it all does is mitigates the risk on their end for taking, quite frankly, a pretty high investment for
it's a big risk.
marketing.
It's a big, That's what I hear people talk about this a lot. Like, never, charge what you're worth and stuff. Well, honestly, if you have no experience, you're not worth much. Because you don't even, like half the people that are doing this don't even know if they can get results. So they want to charge what I charge for what I do, but actually they should be charging based on what they're actually worth at the time, not what the service is worth, because they're not actually sure if they can deliver or not. Once you get one or two runs on the board, go for gold. Charge what you can get. But I think before that, you've really got to have some way of mitigating that risk.
So to kind of put things together, recapping from the beginning, because I know we're kind of running up on time here. In the beginning, personal approach, very understanding of the industry and the psychoanalytics of obviously the trade. If they're trading, they have family to take care about. If they're doing well, they run a lot of time running bids, estimates, answering a lot of emails, texts. That's something that you can actually tangibly solve with your service besides getting more leads. And you can frame it in the email copy, keep it informal but also formal so that it's somewhat professional because business owners are answering your emails all the time, and then reframe if you're young, kind of your youth to an advantage and your ability and eagerness to get out there and get these really crazy results.
Get the work done.
And would you reckon also try and include that kind of conviction in the email copy, saying, hey, would you quantify that you're kind of newer to the space? Just give a disclaimer, or
you still need to get them on the call. It's hard to convey conviction through an email. That's why that's why the looms work so well. It's because you can.
Oh yeah.
I would. So like, there's this. They let's say you're missing a leg, right? There's people that are looking at that, wondering things. The best thing you can do if you were missing a leg and when you walk in a room is go, look, I'm missing a leg. This is how it happened. Let's move on. it removes that as a thing. So like I would do my email and go, look, don't let the looks deceive you. Yes, I am young, but I'm also going to be the hardest working person you ever meet. That could be a great way to start a Loom video. You know, I'm Michael, you know, from blah, 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 blah. Look, let's just get the elephant out of the room. I know I'm young. I may look younger than I actually am, but I know I'm young. But I will work harder than anyone you've ever met in your life. Instantly frames the conversation and removes that as a... Instead of them going 3 minutes going, oh, this guy, should I listen, this guy's young or things, you just remove that. It's like if I was missing an eye, that would be the first thing I'd ever say to anyone is, yes, I am. I know I'm missing an eye. And this is how I lost it all. This is, you know, because otherwise they'll just be fixated on the thing that they're noticing as opposed to the conversation that we're having.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every time I reach out to these guys and, you know, they have, you know, the experts in what they do, been doing it for their whole lives. And I just feel like my lack of knowledge in the niche, it kind of acts as a limiting kind of belief when I am reaching out, and it might bar some of the conviction that I actually have. And also just as a beginner, you know, a lot of us, like you said, you know, we try and push these guarantees that we don't really know if we can fulfill them or not. And so I think reframing it in a way where it benefits us, and we know in theory, you know, we know the theory, we just haven't put it to action and plan to get the results, to then get the testimonials, to then mitigate the risk before the sales call. So yeah, a lot of good key points there. Definitely going to reframe everything, kind of use that to my advantage. Just the ability and eagerness to learn, because I generally just want to help these businesses as much as I can. And I know that it's not just leads and customers. There's obviously more stuff out there. So how would you reckon just kind of learning about the problems of the niche? Would you just go up and just email them if you're trying to do some data inquiry? Just kind of like if they're, let's say, or maybe go to Facebook groups, or how would you do that?
That could potentially work too. YouTube, there's going to be painting. There's going to be, you know, information on how to paint. The beauty about YouTube, if you were to watch videos and someone like from a professional painter, just start to learn how they talk. The biggest thing with passing on trust is like speaking at their level. So like I can talk like this really casually, but if I'm speaking to someone tertiary qualified with a degree, I can change my wording on the fly to adapt to the person. So that's one way. The other way is actually just, so you have a sales call and let's say he says no, just go, look, I understand you've said no. I'm just curious, you know, why wasn't it of interest to you? Or, you know, just try and get do an exit interview with the person you're talking to and go, look, I'm only new to this. You know, what are some things I could have done better? See what they have to say. You know, go like not talking about the sales, just like when I called you, you know, is there anything you think of that I could have done better that may help me in the future? You'll be surprised how many people go, look, you know, mate, yeah, look, you lost me at this point, or you didn't mention this or whatever. And then you can actually, I wouldn't necessarily do it on the call unless you're really confident, but you could go, well, look, I'm sorry I didn't cover that off, but actually like does this, or do it later. But like, you'll be surprised when you're young, you'll be surprised how many people are willing to help if you just ask. So getting off the call, they say no, they're not interested. You go, look, okay, I completely understand, but look, I am new to this. I really am just trying to help, you know, make people's lives better. Is there anything I could have said or done differently that would have made this call go differently? You know, just think of the wording. You know, it can feel embarrassing, but actually, if you're not willing to get embarrassed and feel uncomfortable, then you're never going to succeed anyway. So you'll be amazed at the insights you get. And allies, you know, those people may go, well, look, it's not really for me because I'm too busy, but go and call this guy. He's a nice guy. I know he needs more work. The amount of work that I get from just going, oh, look, what could I have done better? Or, you know, what could we have done differently? Or do you know anyone? Or just asking for things. It's amazing. I just go to my clients and go, look, I could do with a bit more work. Do you know anyone that could use an awesome marketer? Oh, yeah, I was meaning to talk to him about this. I'll go and ping him now and I'll tee up a call with him. Right? Yeah.
And I think that's the strongest way to grow your business is referrals, because it's free and is the benefit of having a really great relationship with your client and a really amazing service.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, to answer your question, YouTube, I think would be, like, if I was trying to learn about the painting niche, I would be watching videos on how to paint, just so I understood the lingo, like how they talk about square footage. The beauty about YouTube now, especially, is there's a lot of YouTube niche-specific videos out there on how to run a business in a niche. So, like, there's like 10, 20 YouTube creators that are making videos on how to grow a landscaping business. So you can you can listen to them and hear the metrics that they use to determine success and failure. Because if they're saying that, they're probably ex-landscapers that are trying to monetize digitally. So if they're going, oh yeah, we charge per square foot, or we charge this, you might go, well, I'll get you more leads that will pay more per square foot than others. You know, like.
And then you're speaking their lingo.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. I think it's just kind of the example I saw where initially when you're beginning, it's kind of a shallow depth of understanding, but as you keep going and going with time and constantly putting yourself out there, like you said, getting embarrassed, making mistakes, and then embracing those mistakes and transforming them into learning opportunities, and then reframing your youth as an advantage and your eagerness to learn and take in new information. That's going to be your crucial asset when starting out, when doing any outreach, sales 100%. Calls, whatever.
Man, I wish I was young. I wish I was your age. I was your age, knowing what I know now, because I'd have 10 figures.
I really do appreciate you have taken the time out of your day to kind of just mentor us. It's really been a game changer.
Okay, of course.
It's been huge. I don't want to kind of run up. I know we're running up on the hour. Actually, we're probably past the hour, but I know I want to touch base on.
I've got another 15 minutes if we need to.
Okay. Do you think we could touch base on fulfillment?
Yes, happy to.
Fulfillment questions. So I know that Google Ads lead quality is 10x for effective in trade industries than Facebook. So that's what I've been mainly focusing on, and I've been diving into Go High Level and trying to learn how to set up automations, like doing DBRs and stuff that I did with my one client, and then now we're trying to do systems to automate lead nurturing, and that's the thing. Kind of the bottleneck I found is when I'm trying to say get appointments, would I just have the clients do the manual call action and Go High Level and then just call them up, or would you reckon when you're just starting out you want to call the leads yourself? Because if the client calls them, they have the expertise in the industry to answer any questions that the client has there. So how would you set up your lead nurturing systems for these trade niches with Go High Level for calls?
Yeah. So I found there's a lot of tradies that like that part of that. They don't necessarily want to relinquish control of the thing that directly affects their livelihood. So I've just found it easier to get them, basically with the clients we work with, I will get them to your door. It's up to you to get them to tuck in the teddy. Like it's your job to get them to sign up because you are the painter. I can help in any way you need, but my job is to get them to call you. Once they call you, you still got to close them. You've been the painter for 20 years. That's you know how to do that. So I would always err on that because you don't want to become a scapegoat for. Jeez, look at my hair. You don't want to become a scapegoat for them in any way. So you don't want to get into this uncomfortable conversation where like, well, you were supposed to be getting me business and you weren't because you're supposed to be closing them out or whatever, getting them appointments and stuff like that. You don't want to be a rod for their back in any way. So I find that's why I do it my way. It's like I don't want the hassle of a client going to me and going, oh, well, you said you would get this. And it's like, no, I told you I'd get you this.
Oh, yeah. Set the expectations, right?
Yeah. So because you can have some really awkward, uncomfortable conversations with people when they want to relinquish responsibility to you for getting them to close when arguably they would probably be better at it anyway. So I think you'd simplify the process. You would just have if you have to, I don't think you necessarily need to nurture leads in the home improvement space because there's not many variables. Like how many rooms, how big's your walls, And
square foot. Yeah.
So like you could, as long as you had a good lead form, and the calls had a way of getting to the person, that's all I would be setting up and Go High Level is like, so sales, your offer is that I will get you more leads. I don't even talk about qualified, unqualified. I'm just like more leads, because very rarely, unless it's spam, is a lead low quality. You hear low quality thrown around a lot from trades, especially, oh, that was a shit lead. I always hold them tasking that. I'm like, okay, so what did they want? Oh, they just wanted this small thing. I said, well, you need to get, and, you know, I had the luxury of being able to call people to task because I don't care if I lose them or not. But like, I'm always like, well, that lead wasn't bad. Your ability to turn them into a higher paying client is not good.
So the ability to upsell.
Upsell. I said, I can help you with that. If you need help working through that process, I can help you with that. But don't say the lead is bad. The person wanted a service and you offered it and I got you it. How about we focus on trying to get them building out the email sequences and all the post-sale stuff so that when they're ready to replace that roof you just patched, you can be the first person they call. Oh, can we do that? Yeah, of course. You just have to ask. You don't have to call my lead shit though. You know, like, so unless it's spam, unless it's actual spam that's no value, every lead is valuable. They just don't. A lot of trades don't have the business acumen to go, oh, actually, if I just do this job, or if I organise and go and do a quote, and I look at the roof and I just say that it needs this instead of that, that $200 job becomes a $10,000 job. So I always err on like leads, and I frame that, like when I talk to them. But yeah, I find I've spoken to a few people now in this context, and I've found that very few people have success in start to finish lead generation. Like the nurturing side's fine. It just depends on the niche. Like what I'm saying is I don't think the home improvement niche needs lead nurturing, because the leads are already qualified generally if they fill out a form or whatever.
I think that's just the nature of Google Ads too. The bottom up funnel approach. It's a bunch of lingo, but that's why 100%. I did Google Ads. Yeah.
There's specific intent. If someone's typing in a painter, there's very specific intent that qualifies them automatically. Where you don't get that with Facebook. Someone might just see a pretty picture of a wall and think you're an interior designer. You can have that. But if someone is explicitly typed in painter Washington or painter Perth, they want a painter. So that's one thing. But I also think that unless you work very closely and change your processes for each businesses, each painter is going to have their own way of qualifying people and quoting jobs. So you run into this problem that the ultimate goal is to build an agency that you can use automation to speed and to replicate the process. If you have to adapt to the way someone sells every time because their qualification process is different or their quoting process is different, you'll lose margin in the long run having to rejig Go High Level every time someone
right. And that probably ties back into just offering a ton of services at once rather than focusing on one specific service. But I wanted to briefly touch on that because what I'm doing at the moment is originally I was doing design, but now I'm doing design and ads and Go High Level. But do you think it's possible if you could reframe it to maybe use all these different services to just a single intent, which is freeing the business owner's time up? Do you think that could possibly work as well?
Perfect.
Right.
It's not about Go High Level. It's not about design. Yeah. So like when I build websites, right? So we build pretty expensive websites. When I build websites, I don't talk about the website. I talk about the fact that you will get more leads if you have a good website. Because if it's designed to convert, you'll get more leads. If it works well on mobile, you'll get more leads. It's about the outcome. So for these business owners, they don't give a shit if they're using Go High Level. They don't care what platform they're using. They need to get the outcome. And if the outcome is a better quality of... So you could just say the outcome is a better quality of life and frame that around what you're specifically doing. So like, my service gives business owners or gives painters a better quality of life. And how I do that is by getting you more leads and freeing up your time. Give me your money and I'll get you that outcome.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Give me more free time to spend with your kids. Give me $2,000 a month and I'll make that happen. Deal? Awesome. Let's go.
Yeah, I think I just at that level, I just need to get to the experience, the commitment, and embarrass myself tons of times, and then I'm sure that'll build a conviction. But I know we're well above the hour, so I think that'll be it for me for now.
Awesome, man. Hopefully that was
yeah.
helpful. I know I tend to waffle on sometimes, and it's easy for me. I suppose I'll end on this. It's easy for me to say this in retrospect. It's like it's easy, just do this. But I understand that there's a lot of moving parts to getting from where you are now to the point where you can just tell a client to piss off. I understand there's a big bit in the middle. And honestly, I think the secret is just try and build an actual relationship with the people you're working with and offer an outcome that suits what is actually important to them, as opposed to going, you have this shiny trinket that you sell, which is more leads, and it needs to fit into it needs to like jam into that square peg. Whereas if you just go better quality of life, and the way I do that is by X, Y, and Z, you'll cover off, you'll fit their outcome, and then you can just slightly tweak the plan to fit what they need. But yeah, man, that's what I would be doing if I was you.
Oh yeah, I will be doing that right away. That's for sure. Definitely I like the mindset of like the reframing your youth and the personal approach. Just completely changed my paradigm. Because I always just thought of it as kind of like a bottleneck. I'm like, I don't have as much experience as these guys. I don't have a testimony. It's like, I can't do this. They're not going to listen to me. But, it's when you start out, it's a lot of limiting beliefs at first. But,
dude, you've got the luxury of being quite articulate too and quite likable. So use that to your strength. I will end on this. So I use Twitch as the perfect example of this. On Twitch, there's two types of people. There's three. You got people that are just really, really good at a game, and there's thousands of people watching them because they're just the best in the world at it. They don't even talk on camera. They don't even have their camera on. They're just playing the game. But people are so in awe of their skills. You have that person. You have the people that are probably not that good at gaming, but are really entertaining. And they get thousands of people watching them because they're really entertaining and they engage and things like that. Then you have that person in the middle that's really, really good at what they do and is really entertaining. You have the ability to be that person in the middle. You have the willingness to learn, and you're quite articulate and quite approachable, and you can hold yourself in a conversation. So the people there's those people either side get a couple of thousand views. The person in the middle is ninja. The person in the middle is like the person that's getting 1 million viewers, a couple of 100,000 viewers. There's a very few people. I like to think I'm at that point where it's like I've got a match of the two and I'm whatever, but like there's very few people in this space that can combine those two things together. So if you can't combine those two things together, you need to pick one or the other, and then find people to fill in the gap. But I feel like you have the potential to be the middle bit, especially if you've acknowledged that to do this properly, it's going to have to be Google Ads because that's a better fit and stuff. You have the nous to be able to adjust a plan. It's just about filling in the gaps now to get you to that point where you're a ninja sort of thing.
I really like the Twitch metaphor there.
Because you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like,
I know. Like, they're just really good at the game, but then they're likable. They have the publicity, and they're able to just attract people, just throwing sponsorships at them and deals and stuff, and they're like, so I definitely get that. Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Well, I'll just finish up. So thank you so much for jumping on, Mike. Guys, if you've enjoyed this and if you made it this far, firstly, pat on the back because you're probably better educated than 99% of the SMMAs out there. But secondly, if you want to jump on a call, just reach out to me. If you can't find my details on the internet,
or this side, whatever.
Yeah. If you can't find my details on the internet, then maybe you need to think of a different career. My details are everywhere. So reach out to me like Mike did. Find my details, reach out, jump on a call. I'm happy to answer your questions. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll catch you all next week.